Welcome to another episode of Between Two Stoves here with Dave Nelson at Industry Cooking Classes channel over there on YouTube. Okay, I've got tons of cooking videos and things like that, interviews with food people around our local Sacramento region here, and I've got another one today. Okay, today I've got Randy Stannard. Okay, and he is from Route 64 Farm. Okay, Route 64 Sacramento, I should say, is I believe his hashtag, right?
Yeah.
And Randy is out there kind of living that dream that you always hear about in the storybooks, you know, of someone going out and farming and making a small farm work, kind of in an urban, or really kind of at the the edge of the urban area farm, right? And he's doing it every day. It's fascinating stuff. I've kind of done a little research up on you, my man, I should tell you. Okay. And so you've been around Sacramento for a while, involved in not just farming but food-based issues, and I think kind of getting the word out there about this stuff, right? So you've been out at Soil-Born Farms, very much an educational effort out there and putting things out there. And I know a lot of listeners have heard of Soil-Born Farms, of course, right? And you have also been involved with the Oak Park Soul, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And that was tied in with Alchemist CDC, which, there's like 3 degrees of separation in Sacramento, and I'm tied in with Alchemist CDC on
Sure.
the other thing, the Micro Enterprise Academy, right? I'm doing like culinary school for those guys, culinary boot camp for them, right? So you're involved with those guys doing urban green spaces and all of that. You've actually run farms professionally. That is in your job title, right? In the past has been your job title, farm manager, I believe. And you also have a degree, okay? I don't know if a lot of people realize how much science background people have that are in agriculture. It's just kind of a fact lost on most people. They think it's, farmers are rednecks, but every farmer I've ever met, almost 95%, I would have to say, all have advanced degrees in like yourself, soil science, I believe, right? And things like this, right? So you've got the background. You're not just out of the woods, but you are making it happen out there in Sacramento. And I've been seeing it around for a long time. Your farm stands always look so beautiful. They stand out at the farmers market, if I may say. Your produce is beautiful stuff. I believe I have said this before to you at the market, right? It's just gorgeous stuff. But you're not doing the markets. I kind of wanted to talk about what you're doing now and during COVID and everything else, for heaven's sake. You guys are doing your own produce at your own Urban Farmstand, okay? You're at 4971 64th Street in Sacramento, California, of course. And it's 9 to 12 on Saturdays. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there, Randy. And with that being said, I wanted to just kind of start out of the gate because somebody's kind of counting on me. Jennifer wanted to know if you were going to be having any tomatoes this Saturday.
We will have like 2 or 3 pints perhaps of cherry tomatoes, the first little trickling of kind of mixture of Sun Gold cherry tomatoes and Sweet 100.
So are people going to be camping out overnight to kind of get first in line to get it?
I would imagine so. This is big. This is very a big deal. Yeah.
It's a big deal. We should get live coverage overnight.
Yeah. I'm sure someone will do that.
So can you talk about what else you got out there this weekend?
Sure. Well, one, I also always want to start with make sure that I put forward my partner, Sarah, is kind of certainly not just my farm. It's definitely our farm. And I usually say that Sarah really is the real farmer. She has much more kind of direct running her own farm experience. She had her own farm kind of prior to this for about 7 years between Davis and Winters. And and we've been here at Route 64 Sacramento for this is our 3rd growing season on this farm.
You guys are not amateurs.
Very much a partnership.
Yeah, not amateurs.
No, and I very much kind of lean a lot on her kind of experiences and kind of trials and tribulations and kind of learning by doing that she had over the first 7 years of farming there. So that's a huge impact that's allowed us to be more successful, is having kind of that history that Sarah's had with kind of learning, how to farm and be a farm manager and what works and what doesn't work and kind of in our region here.
And having complementary skills, I would imagine. And did either one of you grow up on farms?
No, Sarah grew up, had a little bit more of a rural upbringing, grew up in Mariposa County, up in Mariposa near Yosemite, but neither one of us grew up on farms or were really around it too much. I think
Interesting.
we both came to it post college, really, even though my degree was in soil science, I didn't get into that with the vision of being a farmer by any means.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I had assumed that you just kind of got out of school and rolled right into it, but I guess that's not the case.
No, it was more of, when you're 18 coming out of college, it was, I don't know what the heck I want to do. I think I like science and I think I like environmental stuff. So that was a degree that I could get under at Cal Poly. That was kind of a broad kind of science-based degree. So I went with it, and it ended up being a really great, obviously a fortuitous thing for me. So
they say those college educations never amount to anything that you'll use in real life. And here you are.
Yeah. Well, I use a portion of it, and then a lot of it is definitely learned on the ground, and
I would bet so. Yeah. There's only so much you can get out of a book. That's for sure. So when you got into the thing that you're doing now, I mean, were you like at this place and decided to do the farming, or were you out looking for a farm, or how did your current place start?
Yeah, we were definitely looking for property. Sarah was kind of actively farming at her other site, and we were looking to hopefully be able to buy a piece of property with a home on it. A lot of the stuff we were initially looking at was more out in the kind of the rural areas, Rio Linda, Wilton, something, thinking 5-10 acres and a house, but there wasn't a lot of it, and it was very expensive what we were seeing, and most of the houses were pretty run down, in all honesty. So this one just kind of popped up, and we had decided that an acre of land, which we have here, is a house with a full acre of land, that could be enough. And it turns out that it's really for us, it's a great amount of land. We can't do animals like we might have been able to do on a large scale, or a different type of scale out in the rural
It's an acre, though. It's just an acre, so you would just need so much space I would think, to do that.
Yeah, there's both the space stuff, which we could do, but then there's also just the legalities of having animals in the city of Sacramento.
Yeah.
Not legal.
I should say, I just saw the place for the first time recently, and it abuts 65th Street Expressway. So it's kind of this open area over there. There isn't too much going on back behind you or to the sides, other than, the neighbors all seem to have kind of a big piece of land there. It's kind of spread out, and kind of an interesting spot where it's situated. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there's a bunch of properties that have larger, 2/3 to an acre of land kind of in this stretch. So it's kind of a weird space in the city of Sacramento. So we're really lucky to be able to farm it. This is one of those places, like you said, I've been in Sacramento since about 2005 and working in and around kind of food access and food justice and just in food, food stuff in general, but mostly through farming and gardening and green space.
Absolutely.
And education. But these stretches of properties are ones that I would drive by all the time and say, man, it would be awesome if somebody would really farm one. Why nobody's really using all that land back there? It'd be really cool if somebody was doing it.
Yeah, there's still a lot more back there, right? There's nothing going on back there. It's a big open space, and I'd never even thought about that until I pulled up to your door. What's going on the other side of this? It's amazing. Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about what you guys got at your stand this weekend. I wanted to kind of get that out there and make sure people are coming out there. Let's throw your address out again: 4971 64th Street in Sacramento, California. Come on out to this Route 64 Urban Farmstand. These guys are doing it. American citizens out there making it happen on their own at their own house. So what do you got going out there?
We do pretty much a full mix of like a diversified array that you'd find in a farmer's market this seasonally. So right now we're we're in carrots and beets, maybe skipping on radishes this week just because we're out of them. But salad mix, cucumbers, squash.
So lettuces, cukes.
Lettuces, arugula, basil. So yeah, pretty good mixture of things. Tomatoes are just getting started. Peppers are just trickling in.
What are those? What about like summer squash and stuff like that?
Yeah, summer squash. Loads of summer squash now. Loads of cucumbers.
Okay.
We're just harvested garlic today, but that will then
cool.
for a couple weeks till we are actually selling that. And also then we'll harvest potatoes here pretty soon, probably also in a couple weeks.
You know, if people haven't had like a good fresh farm raised potato, you know, there's nothing like it, right? That big flavor from a potato like that. So you were selling like bulk basil last time I was there. Are you still doing that this weekend?
Yeah, we're doing them by the bunch usually at the farm stand, but we definitely are looking still to sell kind of bulk basil. We have I don't know, maybe a 40 or 50 foot bed of basil pumping out. So we sold 4 pounds to restaurants this week. And that was, you know, if we can sell 4 to 6 pounds and then the other rest goes to the farm stand in terms of bunches, that takes care of most of that basil. But in terms of managing the basil, we really want to cut it pretty hard so that it's not going to flower and getting bitter on us. So we really want to sell a good amount of it just so that we can harvest the plants pretty hard and always keeping them fresh.
That's something that, you know, civilians, like, you know, most people out there don't know about that sort of thing. You know, you've got to keep that basil kind of producing and keep it turning over like that. You know, it's
a lot of people buy basil plants, and it's a great thing, but it will go to flower pretty quickly. So you want to we harvest it once, probably twice or 3 times a week with a lot of things, squash and cucumbers. They're pretty regular harvesting that's needed.
So, do you guys ever get days off or what?
Yeah, I mean, that's also, I mean, this is definitely a lifestyle, and we do live here. So we definitely try to take Sundays as a down day. You know, maybe sometimes there's a little bit of irrigation work or a little stuff here and there, but that's also the beauty of, you know, of being on 1 acre and really growing, you know, actively on 2/3 of an acre of kind of rows in the back. Is that, you know, we hopefully aren't working, you know, 70, 80-hour weeks. There's only so much we can plant. And once we're all planted out, and if we're doing a good job with our weeds, so as our 3rd season, we're getting better and more efficient, and things are, you know, coming in. So, you know, it's a lot of times we are done, you know, this today, like I was up at 5 or well, I guess I started around 6 and started harvesting, but it took off during the heat of the day, you know, from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, and maybe go back out again at 7 to do a little bit of work in the evening.
Like you said, it's a lifestyle. You got to work when you can and do what you can with what you got. Amazing stuff. Hey, next question. You call yourself a dirt farmer. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? I think that's an interesting concept.
Sure. Well, certainly for me, and I think many and more growers these days, that the soil really is something that we're focused more and more on, kind of that soil food web type of idea of seeing this really as a living dynamic system, and really needing to tend and take care of our soil, build organic matter. And then we're also, you know, hearing a lot more about the power of soil in terms of carbon sequestration, and taking soil out of the air and getting that down into our fields. And that kind of, so we are kind of consider ourselves we're really a low or minimum till farm, or not quite a no-till farm where we don't do any tilling, but we do very limited tilling, as little as possible. We're disturbing that subsoil and trying to keep plants and plant roots growing in there actively as much as we can. And that really supports a really dynamic kind of soil microbiology, which they're doing a lot of the work, you know, whether it's in a compost pile or in our soil. Those are some of the best friends, along with worms and those guys. Like, they're doing the real work for us. So it's how can we manage and run our kind of farm in order to best support them, that they're kind of do the work in the soil that, you know, allow the plants to then to be healthy. And
this is exactly where I wanted the conversation to go. I am so fascinated by that idea of the microbiome and how it is a part of every one of us, right? You know, that I see that number thrown out. 3% of our body mass is microbes, basically, in our gut, on us, in us, around us. And they're in every environment there is, and you know, water systems, and and in organisms. And it's just so amazing, and we need to be able to support that, right? And I kind of figured that's what you guys are doing. Okay.
It's a version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you guys like bringing in soil and laying it down on top of the surface? Is that kind of how it works, or?
We don't bring in soil for sure. We certainly are using the native soil, but then working on kind of building the fertility and the life in that soil. So that comes around through adding compost that we both bringing in bulk loads of compost, like 40 yards, and then spreading it out through the course of the season. So we are bringing in loads of bulk compost. We are making our own compost as well. We work with a local nonprofit called the Green Restaurant Alliance of Sacramento, and they have this Resoil Sacramento program with their veggie scraps from the kitchens, like the One Speed and Water Boy and those guys. We're getting their veggie scraps, and we combine them with wood chips that we get from chip drops for free at our house, and then make our own compost on site. That is right now we're working on kind of the volume and capacity of being able to do more, but maybe we'll produce 10 yards of like really good finished compost this year, which isn't enough for our fields, but we're definitely supplementing our fields. And then a lot of that is going into our plant propagation mix. We make kind of our own soil to start our plants. So that's a really valuable part for us, is growing really good, big, healthy starter plants.
In your soil.
And then we use our kind of own, and we use some of our own compost, but
your compost,
coconut hulls and rice hulls, other just kind of different sustainable and kind of local products, that we can to kind of create a really nice growing medium for those plants.
What would you say? You said 10 to 15 yards that you can produce. How much more would you say you're bringing in a year?
We're bringing in 40 yards, which is a kind of a large semi-truck, this transfer trailer, and our neighbor is kind enough to allow us to have the semi-truck drive onto his property, because he has access, and they currently are dumping the compost on their property, and then there's a little gate between our two properties, and then we fill up these Vermont carts and wheelbarrows full of compost, and everything's done by hand.
How cool is that? He's allowing you to do more with what you have because he's letting you park that over there. That's great.
Yeah, it's really great.
What a guy. Shout out to your neighbor right there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, when you're getting into your farm and you had to start up out there, you're doing your farm stand. Didn't you have to kind of jump through some hoops as far as like food safety and licensing for that kind of thing?
Well, not really. I mean, we have a business license. And for a farmer's market, to go to a certified farmer's market, you do get a certified grower certificate through the county, is the one who issues that. And they would usually come out to your farm. And it's really about making sure that you have planted what you say you have planted, and you're bringing your own food to the farmer's market, that you're not selling other people's food.
Right.
Or that sort of stuff. You're not retailing stuff, you're selling your own.
The denials model.
Yeah, but for the farm stand, there's no such thing as a certified farm stand. So the county didn't come out for that per se. So there isn't really a heavy amount of regulations per se, but we do definitely are using food safety practices in terms of both growing and then all of the washing, processing. We have a large walk-in cooler that we built and that sort of stuff. So we do, or not large, Beautiful. But big enough for us to be able to start harvest and keep it cold for overnight or a couple nights. So, but our intention is really trying to, and that's one of the benefits of being a small urban farm, is that hopefully we can harvest that morning, and most of the stuff is getting out to people that day. Right. It's not sitting in our cooler for maybe 2 or 3 days max on certain items, maybe squash or cucumbers, something will hold up. But a lot of it, we're really trying to harvest that morning or that day before the farm stand, and then we're selling it on Saturday. Or for a lot of the chefs, we're harvesting in the morning and we're taking it over that day. Yesterday, we just went to Benchayaki and a couple other places, and that's all get same day fresh.
So how much are you selling to the restaurants out there still? I mean, has that kind of dried up during COVID, or has that
It
affected?
definitely
Or
like dried up completely initially when pretty much all the restaurants were shut down. So that completely went away, and that was one of the reasons for wanting to do the farm stand was also just not knowing about the farmers markets, what were going to happen. It was kind of an unknown time early on. So
absolutely,
it was
yeah.
something we were thinking about wanting to do anyway. So that was just kind of a push that got us there. We also just have a newborn baby. So being able to get to the farmers market would have just been me. Sarah really wouldn't be able to go as easily. So there was a lot of
No.
factors that kind of help us push to do the farm stand, which has been amazing. And then we also are doing this farm to families program where we've essentially asked people, friends and family and other supporters to essentially donate money that allows us to then put that produce forward, offer it to free to a community program that's then distributing this directly out to families.
And so your farmers are getting dollars through this program, and people are getting food.
Yes, and essentially. Yeah. So we get paid kind of what we feel is a fair thing, same prices we would charge at the farmers market or the farm stand, and then that really high quality produce is going to the people that honestly really either need it the most or just really have access issues. And we have this whole farm to fork thing in Sacramento, and it's I'm not gonna bash it because it's better than nothing.
We can't bash it.
I think it's great, but I'm much more interested in, especially now with what's going on, is like how can we explore the concept and really push for the idea of farm to every fork and look at food equity and food access and how
those are very interesting. Those are very interesting points, and that's the sort of thing I wonder about is like how do we keep doing this struggling artist stuff when people need to eat. There are people that are locked in their houses and can't get out, and COVID is a real thing. It didn't go away just because the streets are going a little crazy right now. It's still a real thing, and I am absolutely with you 100% with that. There may come a time where we're seeing the industry kind of retooling into mass feeding like that and getting food to people that need it.
Yeah,
I think that's where you're going with it.
Yeah, and I guess I want to make sure that I also just lift up, at this time we're lifting up, that we're listening to and lifting up and allowing people of color and farmers of color, especially locally, but really around, and we need more farmers in general. And so locally, I was like, I'm trying to do my best. I want to raise up, the Three Sisters Garden over in Broderick. They're just doing an amazing job. Knoke and Judith, hopefully everybody knows them. If not, they should. They're doing amazing work at Israel Family Farm. They've been out in the forefront for a while, just both growing food, but really doing the powerful work of education and connecting people in the community, especially that South Oak Park.
Right, and they're just right up the road from you, not too far from you, right?
Yeah, about a half mile. So we definitely, I see Knoke and Judith quite a bit, and they help us out. It's a great farm kind of support community.
Awesome. Well, all of us out in the restaurants are all 100% behind you guys, and for speaking for myself, I'm a city boy. It's all fascinating stuff to me. Everything I can learn as a culinary educator, every experience I can have, this all kind of adds to the lexicon of what I can kind of bring to my students and what I can show them. And I sure appreciate just getting people like you to come out and talk about this stuff. What was the name of that organization again that paying for the produce?
Well, so that was a program, actually. It's called Community Connections 95820 there's a website and that sort of stuff for that program.
Awesome.
The little farm to families program, that was kind of started by our friend Ashley, who started that larger 95820 Community Connections program. And she just said, hey, how can we work with you guys to help you guys sell your produce or get money for your produce as well as get food to these families? So this is just that farm to families thing. You're not going to find it any like big program for it. That was us kind of reaching out to our family, our friends, people in our network here in Sacramento, and say, hey, can you donate money to us or through Alchemist if people want to give to give to a nonprofit if they need to do that or want to do that. So
There you
Alchemist
go.
actually
There you
is
go.
the
Alchemist
fiscal
CDC,
sponsor.
everybody.
Yeah, so they're the fiscal sponsor for that project.
Okay. I just want to make sure, I get that information out there, because these are the stories I want to tell, are the people that are doing good, like you said, lifting others up and at this time. So it's really, really great stuff. What other have you been involved in any other projects like that with the other farms during COVID at all?
Well, I mean, so another farm just that's been really helpful to us in terms of a sales outlet is God, that the name of their farm is the Fiery Ginger Farm. So Shane and Hope at Fiery Ginger, also over in West Sac. So they've been doing these grab and go boxes, and sometimes when they were just getting them started, they were short on an item or two, and we happened to have a whole row of broccoli, or we had an extra rush of radishes. So we were essentially able to sell them produce to fill out their boxes.
Fill out their CSA boxes.
To have the product, and it was a huge market outlet for us kind of early in the season, where we don't, we generally, as a small farm, we don't have great outlets for, let's say, 100 pounds of broccoli. We don't generally deal in that much quantity, but every once in a while we have a bumper crop and we've planted a lot and it all comes in together. And so that is.
And what do you do with all the giant zucchinis, right?
Yeah. So Shane and Hope have been also just, again, a huge help to us and support. And then another one I just raised up is Paul Towers over at CAF, which is another nonprofit that's supporting kind of family farmers really across this. It's a statewide organization that's based here in Davis and Sacramento. So Paul Towers is their executive director, and they're just doing really incredible work in terms of supporting family farmers and food equity kind of across the state. So they've been just a really big help to us, as well as doing a lot of other work around food and school food. Just a myriad amount of work that they're doing is really powerful stuff.
You brought up school food just there at the end. Do you ever work with Amber Stott over at the Food Literacy Center over there? Do you ever get any of your produce worked into her program over there?
Yeah, we do actually. So they're actually also one of the kind of main partners now with the Community Connections. So they're actually helping pack and kind of source some of the produce for that program. And then they're putting in some of their recipes and making links to some of the online classes that they're doing for kids and families. So they're part of that. But then, this is a small community of folks here in Sacramento. It's a small place anyways. And then you get any kind of subset, same as within the restaurant business or any other thing. Everybody knows each other, which is usually to the good, honestly. And so Amber, we work closely with her on a lot of stuff. And they've come and bought produce to us that they're then able to, when they were doing, their food literacy classes in the classrooms, they were able to bring some of our produce. And they were, a lot of times they like the neat stuff or the fun stuff, the food adventurer thing, something that's a little different.
If people weren't here before, I got to say your produce, I'm going to say it again, it's beautiful stuff and it's interesting stuff. I still, your red okra last year was just like, still stands out in my mind. I had to get some. It was just so cool, right? And beautifully presented and just really nice stuff. You guys, I don't want to leave it out, right? Your address again, let's throw it out there. Your farm stand on Saturday is from 9 to 12 on Saturday, 4971 64th Street in Sacramento. You got to go by and support these guys, support all of our local farmers around town. It like he said, it's this very small and tight-knit community. I think it's very unique here. I think we're lucky to live in the food community that we do, wouldn't you say?
We have a lot going on. There's just so much work to be done that it's like we're really doing a drop in the bucket, and I think there's just so much room and space that's needed, and really wanting to and what we really want to do is at this point is really just hold space, especially for people of color, and allowing them to kind of, so that we can listen and learn and have them lead and tell us this is how our communities need support, or this is how we want to engage, and this is how we want to do this stuff, and how can we kind of really be there to support new farmers being able to come in, whether that's access to land or just helping with some actual farming techniques, or access to other resources, whatever it might be, or it's just getting out of the way. Many of them, they know what they're doing, and they've been doing it longer than we have. When I started, in 2005 at Soilborn, we were working with a lot of the Hmong and Mien farmers up primarily in North Sacramento and Del Paso Heights and Rio Linda, but there's plenty in South Sacramento as well. And they've obviously they were probably some of the original, well, I would, it depends how far you want to go back, but they've been urban farming before it was certainly cool or anything.
Yeah, no kidding, right.
In the 70s, and they just did it as a way to culturally connect, but then as well as that's what they know how to do. They're amazing growers.
It's like all of our urban farming is just what your grandparents called farming, right? Let's see now. You were talking about a lot of black farmers are out there. This is a thing. I have run into several of them. You mentioned the Alchemist CDC, and they're running that program, the Micro Enterprise Academy, and there are several just minority-owned business owners going through the program, and lots of them are farmers where they're putting their products out there. They're doing preserves or canning or pickles or whatever it is, and so it is a growing thing. There was already kind of a little food revolution, a micro enterprise revolution starting up before COVID. And now I wonder how many things are going to go underground and just kind of start up in, people's driveways like you're doing. I mean, we are only at the beginning of this thing, and we don't know what's going to happen with this food system that we have here. We may find out that this local food system that you're a little cog in, right? We may find out that these are the solution to the future if the main food system falters in any way. And I think we've seen a lot of potential for it to falter in the news lately. I hate to even go down that road. I hate to get rolling on it because I'm such a pessimist, but that's the reality. I mean, it may come a day where little farms like yourself and are making it happen. Everyone out there is doing a victory garden. We pull out our lawns and stick crops in and just try and do anything we can to survive. And there I go again, making it sound like a post-apocalyptic landscape. But that's kind of where my mind goes sometimes when I think about where we are.
Well, we live in a pretty amazing place. We live in one of the most, fertile valleys in the world with two giant rivers, two big rivers with water coming through. I mean, obviously we definitely have drought issues, but, and if Sacramento can't be an edible city, if this place cannot, produce, there's just everywhere you look there where there's ornamental plants, there could be more productive landscapes, whether you're they're raised beds and whatever, or rode up gardens, or we're talking about permaculture gardens or habitat gardens or whatever it is, or just urban orchards and community spaces. We just
little plastic towers in your apartment. You've seen those too, right? Yeah.
And so we did that. It actually started it was a community project of people, and again, gleaning has been happening for time since people have been producing food, since agriculture has happened, or even before. But we're surrounded in this place with millions and millions of pounds of fruit growing on trees, especially citrus, but year round. We live in a place where it's always producing food, especially on trees, whether it's pomegranates or figs in the fall, or apples, or it's peaches and plums and nectarines now, or citrus during the winter. It's an incredible array of stuff. And I would say a large majority of that stuff ends up dropping on the ground just because they're on huge trees. It's more than people can use. And it's really a lack of kind of community kind of participation, or that and any number of reasons why it doesn't get used. And that's where Harvest Sacramento, a soil-born project that kind of was started in the community and then kind of moved into soil-born so that it could be supported within a nonprofit and continue. But whether gleaning happens through that or just on our own, of neighbors saying, hey, and we're seeing more and more of this, right? I've got a giant lemon tree, or I've got a giant orange tree. Can someone please come help me harvest this stuff, and let's get this out to neighbors?
I feel like I see it going on naturally just around town with the homeless population. You're seeing the fruit trees picked out a lot more than they used to be.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
When I was a kid, perhaps it is. I'm glad people are getting what they need, and they're actually not. I wish we could get more of it to them. And Man, you're doing good work, man. I really, really appreciate you coming out. I just kind of want to find out what people are doing out there in the middle of all this, and what it's all going to look like in the future. I kind of picture like guys like you were talking about. You're selling to the restaurants. You're contributing to CSA boxes at another place, right? And you're working with other farmers to make it all happen out there, and get the word out to educate people. And the more people know about food, the better they're going to eat, right? That's kind of my thing as well. The more people know about cooking, the better they're going to eat. The people have no idea where their food comes from, and we've really lost that connection to it. And I really, really would love to highlight more people that do what you do.
Sure. Well, I would certainly say go talk with Alfred over at Broderick and Three Sisters Gardens. He's doing amazing work both in the ground, but more importantly, probably the work he's doing in the community and with the community. That's the powerful stuff that needs to happen. So if you want to raise somebody up, I would say go talk with Alfred, or go talk with Kanoke and Judith, or there's just so many people. My friend Brandy Mack is in the Bay Area, just doing really incredible work, kind of doing social permaculture as well as growing down in the Oakland area. There's just, really, really powerful people doing really incredible work all over the place. So, there's no shortage of people to talk to.
I know. I already kind of have a list. You're reeling them off, but absolutely, man. It's just, this is what I want to be doing, is just telling these stories. And I'm stuck inside right now, and I want to get them out there and keep educating, right? And hey, they can't hear it all from me. So I love this guest speaker series. This is awesome.
Cool.
This is awesome.
Thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, and please say hi to Sarah. I'm sorry we couldn't get her on too, but I love what you guys are doing, and I'll see you out at the farm stand.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave. Take care.
All right. Take care, brother.
Yeah. Bye.